Hello, and welcome to the Miscellaneous Employers Training Session for Reporting Officials. My name is Erin Irvin, and I will be leading the first portion of the training session today. I am a Senior Retirement Compliance Officer on the Employer Relations team here at IPERS. With me here today, I have Tina Bennett, who is also a Senior Retirement Compliance Officer. Now, when we say miscellaneous employers, this means that we are including every entity that is not a county, city, or school district, K through 12. So this could be anyone from a college or university, a hospital, community action program agency, ag extension, or soil and water, just to name a few. There are a lot of different situations that counties, cities, and school districts encounter that may not pertain to every entity. So we wanted to provide a training session that would be the most applicable to you and your organization. As far as the outline for today's session goes, we will start by introducing you to our website. Then we will go over the employer handbook. We will not be going through the handbook in complete entirety, but we hope to hit on the most important topics that will affect most reporting officials. Now I'm going to hand you over to Tina so she can show you the website.
All right. As you can see, I'm sharing my screen with you, so you will not need to worry about navigating to these screens or the workbook on your own during the presentation. First, we will start by going over IPERS website, and that's what you're seeing here on your screen, www.ipers.org. Here you can access the employer handbook, our commonly used forms. These forms are in PDF format, so you can, when you access them, you'll be able to enter the information and print them out and sign them and then submit them to us via fax and or email. Also in the top right-hand corner of the screen, you'll see My Account login and Employer login. And this is where you can go. The My Account is for you as a member, and the Employer login is for you as the employer. All right, now I'm going to show you where you can find the Employer Handbook. As you can see, in the middle of our screen here, there's a section for our employers. It's underneath the large picture in the middle of the section on the right-hand side of the page. You click on here, it's going to open in another PDF visible. Of course, this is the most updated copy that we have. We recommend you using this version online rather than getting a hard copy, because our hard copies are only updated once a year, but this is updated as we make changes. A tip real quick for when you're trying to find something within our handbook, instead of scrolling and or looking through the table of contents, is clicking Control F. You'll see a little box appeared up here. I'm going to search a topic, independent. You'll see there's 2 of 19, and it's going to pull up every single time an independent contractor is referenced within the materials here. And you can scroll through and find where that is. I'm going to turn it back over to Erin, and she'll start going through the handbook here.
Okay, so we will start with section 1. On page 7, what is IPERS? This section expands a little bit more upon what David just went over in the video. But for even more in-depth information, make sure to take a look at the member handbook as well. The main purpose of IPERS is to provide a solid, dependable retirement plan for all public employees. This serves as a major benefit for the employer to attract and retain good employees. When IPERS was first established in 1953, it was meant to be a supplemental to Social Security. As the years have progressed and IPERS benefits have improved, Social Security is now supplemental to IPERS. IPERS also has disability and death benefits available. IPERS is a defined benefit plan under the Internal Revenue Code 401A, which is different from a defined contribution plan in respect to how benefits are calculated. A defined benefit plan is based on a formula, whereas a defined contribution plan is based on your investments. The formula for calculating IPERS benefits consists of your age at retirement, your benefit multiplier, which is based on your years of service. For each year, you get 2% towards your percentage multiplier, up to a maximum of 65% for regular employees and 72% for special service employees. And the last piece of the formula is your highest 3 or 5 year average salary. This is 5 years for regular employees and 3 for special service employees. On page 8, It lays out where to go for help. IPERS is currently in the process of revamping our website, so make sure to look for changes and improvements in the coming year. We hope that even more information will be made available to you to help you find the answers you are looking for. And also, the training sessions being offered today and yesterday will be added to the website as well. If you cannot find what you were looking for, though, please feel free to contact the Employer Relations team at 877-473-7799 or send an email to employerrelations@ipers.org. And our team is available to help Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30.
All right, we're going to go ahead and start again. And so Erin's going to start with section 2 on the employer handbook. Yes. So that goes over reporting officials and their responsibilities. So the reporting official is our liaison between the employer, employees, and IPERS. If you are not listed as the reporting official and should be, please complete the employer account demographics form. And Tina can show you real quick where to access this form. So on that main screen, the www.ipers.org, under the employer section, there's a spot here for forms. Click on forms. It brings you into all of our forms that are available to our employers. And the fourth one down, you'll see here is employer account reporting official demographics. You click on the words, it opens the PDF form. They are fillable and you can complete them and submit them to the either email or fax it, or you can mail it to our office. If you email it or fax it, they'll get to us quicker and we can get your information as the reporting official updated. If you have any questions about that, just go ahead and submit any questions you have regarding the form or what you need to do in order to get that updated, or you need to be the contact. Go ahead and send that to employerrelations@ipers.org and we'll get those questions answered for you. And all IPERS employers have an ID associated with each account, and this number should always be the beginning of your employer login as well, followed by the first initial of your first name and the first 6 of your last name. So IPERS counts on the reporting official to report wages correctly, pay contributions, and maintain employee records. Additional duties of the reporting official may include preparation of the W-2s, maintaining documentation for leaves of absences, specifically unpaid forms of leave due to member potential to request service purchase for missed quarters. Members may receive free IPERS service credit for qualifying military service, departure from and return to IPERS covered employment, or leaves qualifying for protection under FMLA. If this applies to one of your employees, please refer to page 11 and 12 for more information. Also, part of the reporting official duties is reporting a member deaths. And this can be done by contacting our benefits department via phone or online via our website. And Tina will jump over real quick to our website to show you where to do that. So here we are back at our website, and this is going to be located under the member section. So even though you're the employer contacting us to report the member death, you're going to go under the member section and you're going to click on the words report a member death, fill out this form. The red means that they're required, and then go ahead and get that submitted to us, and then we'll get their information updated on their account. Okay, and then back to the list of the reporting official duties is also maintaining accurate data for your employees, such as correct social security numbers, new addresses, employment history, or name changes. Please note, it is very important to report when an employee leaves employment. We ask that you update their employment record with the termination and last paid date when you are reporting their last paycheck via IQ. You can update this either through the wage import process or by manually updating the employment record. If you are unsure about how to do this, please stick around for the IQ portion of the training, as this will be demonstrated. One more thing I want to add real quick is that reporting officials are no longer required to hand out beneficiary forms upon hire.
This can now be done under the My Account login. So once wages are reported to IPERS, this sets up the member's account. If they are new to IPERS, they will receive a welcome packet within 60 days of those wages being reported, containing their member ID and information on how to access the My Account login and how to add their beneficiaries. Members must have a valid email on file with IPERS to access their online account. If they need to add their email or if they have ever previously been an IPERS member, you can refer them to our benefits team to get further information on their account. And that phone number is 1-800-622-3849. Okay, so and then there is a couple of pages at the end of section 2 there on 14 and 16 through 16 that goes over the different scenarios for what to do when for reporting officials. So first, let's go over those employees that are covered for IPERS. The first group is permanent, part-time, or full-time employees. These employees are hired with the intent of working longer than 6 months, regardless of how many hours they work per week. These employees could either be part-time or full-time, and you would start mandatory coverage from the date of hire. The second group is temporary employees. For IPERS purposes, temporary employees such as seasonal, on-call, or PRN are hired with the intent of working less than 6 months, regardless if they are full or part-time. You can choose whether you want to cover temporary employees from the date of hire or if you want them to qualify for coverage. Regardless of how your entity chooses to do it, it must be consistent with all employees of that same group. To qualify for coverage as a temporary employee, you must earn $1,000 or more in 2 consecutive quarters, and then coverage would start with the following quarter that you report wages for them. They are covered until they have a break in service of 4 quarters or more and or terminate or resign. The third group covered in this section are board members. Board members have mandatory IPERS coverage when they are elected full-time and receive a set salary, or when they are appointed full-time and receive a set salary. They have the option to elect out of IPERS coverage when they are elected part-time and receive a set salary. And they are excluded from coverage altogether when they are appointed or elected and are paid only on a per diem basis. Next, on page 20, we have a list of positions that are eligible to opt out of coverage. These positions are less common with the miscellaneous employer group, but there are still some that you may have at your agency. If you have an employee who is on this list and wants to opt out, they must do so within 60 days of taking that position. Otherwise, the employee will default automatically to IPERS coverage. The election for termination of IPERS coverage form can be found under the employer form section of our website. Then on page 21, it discusses those entities that provide the option of taking an alternative retirement plan in place of IPERS. For these entities that have another authorized alternative retirement plan, employees also have 60 days within hire to make their decision, but no opt-out form is required for these employees. However, this election is irrevocable during an employee's tenure with the employer. Some employers that would provide this alternative plan would be community colleges providing TIAA, the State Board of Regents, or water utilities. On page 22, it lists out those positions that are excluded from IPERS coverage. So this would include high school students. Grades 12 or lower must graduate or have a GED before they would ever be considered for IPERS. College students, you would treat like anyone else, except they are not covered when they are enrolled full-time or part-time and working part-time at the college where they are enrolled at. Adjunct instructors are excluded if they do not hold a continuing contract. However, if the adjunct is offered a continuing contract that requires the teaching load to exceed 1/2 time for 2 full semesters, or 3 full quarters per calendar year, the instructor now qualifies for IPERS coverage. Foreign exchange teachers and visitors are excluded. Interns and resident doctors working at a state or local hospital are also excluded. Same with volunteers. Lastly, independent contractors are never covered for IPERS. If there is any question at all on whether or not someone should be considered an independent contractor, please reach out to us so IPERS can make this determination. The decision IPERS makes will be based upon IRS rules, taking into consideration the behavior, financial, and the type of relationship between the individual and the employer. Some examples of items that we look at are whether or not the individual carries liability insurance. Do they operate under a business name or have an FEIN? Do they offer these services to others? Employees returning to work as an independent contractor also have a 4-month bona fide retirement period as of July 1st, 2018. The worker status determination form is found on our website. It goes over all areas and in detail and is a complete questionnaire for you to fill out. On page 24, it discusses terminations of covered employment. IPERS assumes a member is employed continuously unless specific action or documentation shows a termination with you. Examples of what documentation could include are a resignation letter, termination paperwork, advertisement for the vacant position, verification page from a benefit application, or 4 quarters of no wages reported. Make sure to report to us when submitting the employee's last paycheck, as it is required for refunds or to receive IPERS benefits. Then there is retired reemployed employees. A lot of people who retire choose to go back to work for an IPERS covered employer. If this is the case, all retirees under the age of 70 must complete a bona fide retirement period. The bona fide retirement period is staying out of employment altogether for 1 month for any IPERS covered employer, and then an additional 3 months for any IPERS covered position. Also, there is an earnings limit. Before age 65, the earnings limit is $30,000 or less in a calendar year. And then 65 and older, there is no earnings limit. Okay, section 4, IPERS covered wages and non-covered wages. So covered wages would include regular pay, which is salary or hourly, overtime, longevity, back pay, vacation pay when it is used in exchange for time off, not when it is paid out in a lump sum. And comp time is covered when used in exchange for a time off and when paid as a lump sum. However, when it is paid out in a lump sum, it is only up to 240 hours paid in a calendar or fiscal year. Anything over that would not be IPERS covered. Then Section 125 payments are conditionally covered, and that will be discussed more here in the next few minutes. Excluded from coverage are lump sum payments, such as vacation or sick, retirement incentives, severance or legal settlements, bonuses, allowances, workers' comp or disability, employer-paid life insurance premiums, and cash options that are not uniformly available or cash in lieu of insurance. On the bottom of pages 29 through 32, it goes into much more detail and gives examples for the different types of pay that is included and excluded for IPERS coverage. Then at the bottom of page 32, it starts going over the Section 125 plans, or cafeteria plans as they are sometimes called. Employers who offer an IPERS covered cash option with their Section 125 plan need to send in a Section 125 plan annual certification form. This can be found under the form section of our website. If you are curious about whether or not your entity has an option that you need to certify, here are some questions that might make it clearer. Do you have a Section 125 plan? Yes or no? If yes, is there a cash option that is uniformly available to all members within a specific group? If yes, is the cash option being covered for IPERS purposes? If yes, has the Section 125 plan annual certification form been sent into IPERS for review. Cash benefits are IPERS covered only when the first 3 questions are answered yes, and the annual certification form is received. If the form is not received, then the cash option will not be considered IPERS covered wages. If you are not covering the cash option for IPERS, you do not need to send us the form. Then there's a IPERS covered wages and compensation chart on page 35 and 36. But if you have specific questions in regards to your Section 125 plan, we ask that you email those specifics of the plan document over to us so that we can make a determination and get back to you on that. Okay, Section 5 goes over contributions. IPERS sets contribution rates based on an actuarial evaluation every year in November. These rates cannot increase or decrease by more than 1% each year. A bulletin will be sent out as soon as the new rates are known. This is usually in November at some time. Rates can be found at the bottom of the homepage at IPERS.org, and they are subject to change each July 1st. Remember, IPERS wages are reported to us when paid, not when earned. Keep this in mind each July when these rates are subject to change. So the current contribution rates by membership groups is listed on the bottom of page 37 on the handbook. For regular employees, the total contribution rate is 15.73%. This is 6.29% for employees and 9.44% for the employer share. So for regular and protection class, the split between employee and employer is 40-60. And then sheriffs and deputy sheriffs, the split between employee and employer is 50-50. The covered wage ceiling for 2020 is $285,000. So anything earned more than that would not be covered for IPERS. Contributions are pre-taxed for state and federal taxes on your W-2s. IPERS is calculated on the gross wages. Then you subtract the employee's portion of IPERS contributions. Then the remaining amount is subject to state and federal income tax. There is a complete list of occupation codes that can be found on page 41 and 42 at the end of this section. Okay, so then we will start on Section 6, reporting wages. So you always report gross wages, not net wages or contribution amounts. IPERS wants wages reported when they are paid to the employee and not when earned. For example, say an employee works for you March 15th through the 30th, but the wages are paid to that employee on April 5th. These wages should be reported in the April wage report that is due on May 15th. So you have 2 primary options for how you report employees' wages to us each month. First is to manually report wages online. This might be easier if you have very few employees. The second is to import wages online. This is best if you have a lot of employees. Before you can successfully import, though, you must first create a data file to the specifications accepted by IQ from your payroll software system. The file format specifications can be found on page 47 and 48. Then, of course, if you do encounter an error after submitting your wage report, you will need to file a wage adjustment. There is a manual way, which is a form that you fill out, found on our website, or you could do an import if you have a lot of wages to correct. The import process is very similar to the wage report import. And we will go over this in more detail when we go over the IQ portion of the presentation. After a wage adjustment is submitted, a notification of contributions due are always sent out to the employee to let them know of the change. If you are submitting a wage adjustment for a permanent employee that has worked less than 6 months for you, we will need to have a termination date on file in IQ before we can process the wage adjustment. And then on page 51 goes over making payments. All payments must be received by IPERS by the 15th of the following month. Contributions may be sent to IPERS by submitting an EFT payment online or by submitting a check along with an employer remittance coupon. We are encouraging all employers to switch over to EFT payments as soon as they are able to, if you have not done so already, as we are trying to move towards everything being done electronically. And then you can access your monthly and annual statements in IQ under the Documents tab, and also the wage adjustment detail report if you have submitted any. And Tina will go over that in more detail later on. And then late fees and interest charges. If payments and wage reports are not reported to IPERS in a timely manner, which is by the 15th of the month following the previous month's liability, then late fees and interest are charged to the employer's account. There's a $20 late interest fee for late contribution payments and $20 plus 25 cents for each person on your wage report if the wage report is late. If for some uncontrolled circumstance you cannot report your wages in a timely manner and you have been charged fees for late reports and contributions, there are two forms that can be useful: the request for waiver of late fees and interest charges, and the request for an extension. Keep in mind that the request for extension must be filed and approved before the due date of your report or contribution. Section 7 is rather small. It goes over inactivity and dissolution or inactivation of your reporting entity. So if you are merging entities or dissolving, please reach out to us so we can further assist you more with your specific circumstance. And we will also need you to fill out the merge and close form, which can also be located on our website. And then Section 8 goes over the IPERS compliance review. So what happens during a compliance review? We will conduct these reviews at least once every 2 to 3 years. We will first start out by contacting you, the reporting official, to request your gross payroll for the review year that we are reviewing. We prefer to get this information from you either by sending us a secure email or by logging into your account through IQ and sending it to us through the message center. This is a new feature in IQ, and we will discuss how to do this in just a few minutes before we break. After we have your gross payroll information for all your employees, regardless if they are IPERS covered or not, we will then create a gross payroll comparison report that compares your gross payroll to what you submitted to IPERS for your wage reports during that review year. We will then schedule a time to meet with you, whether that be over the phone or in person. At this time, due to COVID, we are only conducting reviews over the phone, and we will send you that gross payroll report beforehand so you have time to review any discrepancies. We will also request that you send us copies of your W-2s and any 1099s that were issued in that review year. Again, this information would be sent over securely. There may be other items that we will need from you as the review progresses, such as Section 125 plan documents or other policy and procedures. During the review, we will go over the compliance workbook that we will also send out to you beforehand. This workbook follows along with our employer handbook and goes over all the items that were covered here today. The purpose of this review is to make sure that you, the reporting official, are aware of all the IPERS rules and regulations that affect your agency. Our job is to make sure that you are informed and to work with you to correct any issues that we may discover along the way. And then Section 9 goes over the IPERS forms that are available on our website. But Tina has already kind of shown you a lot of those.
All right.
And then Section 10 is just the glossary.
So with that, we're going to go ahead and close out our training session. If you need anything, of course, you're always welcome to contact us at 877-473-7799, and that's the Employer Relations Team Help Desk. Or you can email us at employerrelations@ipers.org. Thank you again for attending the training. And again, we welcome you to watch this once this is posted to the website, or allow any of your other employees to watch this once this has been posted. Thank you.
Thank you.